Hi, this is Lady Lex UK and this is Dr. Lex number 11. This is where I get to answer your queries in little mini tutorials. So these are suitable for things that are quick and easy to do. Our first one is how to pause a timer. I've created a mechanic that has a timer running, and when you give it power, it will pause that timer for a set amount of time to your choosing. And you can use this when picking up objects, for example. So you might have a speedrun style game where if the player picks up a special item, then it will pause the timer and give him extra time to do the speed run, that sort of thing. So that's that. The second one is using a health pickup as a resource. So instead of picking up the health and immediately adding health to your player, you pick it up as a resource item, and then you can push a button and put the health on when you need it. So there's that. And thirdly, walking backwards. That's exactly as it sounds. So how to get your puppet to walk backwards and not turn towards you and walk towards you. Enjoy the tutorials. Right, so what I was asked was how do I pause a timer? So there's a game in which you've got a timer going, and if you collect a certain object, it will pause that timer for 5 seconds, and then it continues. So you have a mechanic where the player has to try and do a speed run, and you collect these objects as you go through, and that pauses the timer so that you've got more time. Now, when you're doing a game with a timer that could be any length, it's going to be difficult if you just use a timer, because a timer on its own, you need to say what the target time is, and you have to set it to a particular time. So you either set it to a really far in the distance thing and hope that the player doesn't take that long, or you build your own timer, and then that's what I've chosen to do here. So what I've got is I've got a variable modifier and a timer and a variable. So we have a variable called time, and we have a timer that's set to 1 second. You can do it at any you could do it at 0.1 seconds if you want to have a much finer timer situation. But this is going round in a loop. So when the timer is finished, it's resetting itself. It's going round and round and round in a loop. And every time it finishes that loop, it adds 1 to our time variable. And that's being displayed here. So let me just run that so you can see that working. So every second, you see, that's pulsing this modifier, which is changing this number. So we've created a timer, and that will continue forever. So you don't have to worry about setting your timer to an X amount of things. So this is going to be the time that the player takes. It's round it goes forever. You set your number displayer to display as time, so that when it gets to 60, it will be 1. And so you get your 1 minute, etc. So now the pause mechanic. Now I've used an input from a controller sensor. Obviously in the game that isn't what you'll have. You'll have picked something up. But either way, what you need to do is to increase the counter here. So you send a pulse to increase the counter, and what this does is it says if the counter is not full, then this powers on the timer. So as soon as this is full, all power stops to our timer, and this stays full until it is reset by this wire. Once it's reset by this wire, this turns back on. So here is our pause time timer. I've set that to 5 seconds. You can set it to whatever you like. And that is turned on as soon as that counter is full. So when I press that L1 button, this counter is full, turns on our timer. When it gets to the end, it then resets our counter and resets itself. So it's ready to go again another time. So that is what our counter does. Now, if you've got multiple objects, so you can collect 3 or 4 at a time, this isn't going to work. This is a one-shot deal for 5 seconds, and then you can do it again after that 5 seconds is again. So this is not going to accumulate. So you can't collect lots and lots of objects one at a time and stop the timer for 10, 15, 20 seconds in one go. It's not going to work like that. But if you've got them spread out far enough away, that won't be a problem. So this is a one shot for 5 seconds. But you probably don't want the player collecting lots and lots of them and stopping the timer forever anyway. So I didn't think I needed to worry about it. But that's the system we got here. And that's it. That's all it is. So we've got a timer running. That's the way to do a timer, so that it's an infinite timer. And with this NOT gate and this counter and this timer, that allows you to pause the power to that timer and stop it from running. Now, you can stop this timer completely without it resetting. Just you don't need that pause time. So if you just wanted to press L1 and the timer stops, done. So when they get to the end, for example, so you just send a pulse to here to say, I've got to the end, timer stops. That's it. So you don't need all of this. So it's the same system for creating a timer with a stop. Right, after I made the health pickup tutorial, I was asked, what if I wanted their health not to give me health straight away, but I can collect them and then use them when I need them with a button press. So I've just adapted this tutorial as to do exactly that. So let's go into our microchip. Now at the moment, the health modifier is changing our health straight away to 10. So we're going to put that to a 0. All of this is going to work exactly the same. It's going to collect and all the rest of it, but it's just not going to do anything to the health at this particular point. So we're adding one to our kit variable, which is housed in here. So we'll open that up because we're going to need to use that. Right, we're going to go into our player and we'll go into the controller logic. Let's move that over here. Okay, so I'm going to use the L1 button as my button press for using the health. So I'm going to need an AND gate, and I'm going to need a calculator, a variable, and a health modifier. So a variable modifier and a health modifier, an AND gate, and a calculator. So first thing we want to do, you want to check that we actually have picked up some kits. So we want to know if the number is greater than 0, and we wire from the current value into our calculator. So that's checking, have we got a kit? Then we want to link from our button. So have we got a kit and have we pressed the button? Then we want to change the number of kits. We want to make it -1. As we use a kit up, we want to remove one from our counter. So we wire that to the power. And then we've got a health modifier here. We're going to have it on per hit and zone. We don't need the zone quite as big as that. Let's just reduce the zone down a bit. And we're going to have it so that it's +10 on the modifier and the result into the power socket. So there we go. That's that. and we'll copy. So we've got a few copies of this, like that. Press play. So I'll go into the danger zone, lose some health. Okay. Right, I will pick up 1, 2, see top right hand corner. Picked up 3 kits. I'm going to use one of my kits now, and it's gone down to 2 kits, and I've got 58 health. 1 kit, I've got 68 health. No kit, 78 health. I press the button again, nothing happens. I can now click another kit, and there we go. So that's how you make it so that it collects it, doesn't give you the health until you press a button. I ran out of comments from my subscribers and viewers, so I had a go at looking at the indreams.me feedback page and the how do I section, and looked through there to see if there's anything that I could do a really quick tip video that's suitable for Dr. Lex, and I found one that said, how do I get my character to walk backwards? And then he went on to explain that he wanted to do a dragging mechanic. So the dragging mechanic actually is a little bit more long-winded, and I thought I'll put that in a separate tutorial as an ordinary tutorial. But the walking backwards thing is pretty simple. So let's have a look at this. Here is our blank puppet, and normally when you move the puppet with the left stick, and you can move him around like this. He'll turn to face the direction that you move your stick into, like so. But if I wanted him to move backwards, if I pull the stick towards me, he turns and walks towards me like that. So there's no way of getting him to actually step backwards because he automatically turns. But there is an easy fix to this. If I go into his tweak menu, on page 1, here is a toggle button called face camera direction. You just turn that on. And now when I pull down on the stick, he walks backwards. Now, the only thing about this though is when I go left or right, he now strafes. Now, there are plenty of games where this is a thing. So this time you're controlling his movement with the right stick. So if I move the right stick, you'll see he'll turn with the camera. So if you move the right stick and the left stick together, you get the same movement that you get with just the left stick in the previous game, previous version, but you also have backwards movement. So if this is suitable for you, if this works for you, and there are plenty of games that use this particular game mechanic out in the wide world, that's it solved. There is no way of getting it so that he can walk backwards like this and do these lovely turns with the left stick, unfortunately. But you could adapt this so that he'll only walk backwards in certain circumstances. You could have it so he only walks backwards with a button press, for example. So what you would do, for example, let's turn the face camera direction off. Let's go into his controller logic. And we'll say, if you hold down the L1 button, we're going to put in a keyframe that turns that on. So now he'll walk around normally, but if you hold the L1 button, he can walk backwards and strafe. Let go of the L1 button and he'll walk normally. So that's a really easy way of creating a special mechanic so you can get him so he'll walk backwards and strafe. And this is also very useful for jumping to the left and right, this strafing movement. So if I hold L1 and jump, hang on, let's try that. If I hold L1 and jump to the left, he jumps sideways, as opposed to if I jump to the left, he'll turn, you see. So there we go. That's how the easy method of getting it to go backwards. I'm going to be doing a tutorial about dragging things, and that's coming as a standard tutorial. Right, that was Dr. Lex number 11. So as you can see, I had to go elsewhere to fill this week's episode. Please keep your queries coming. Don't worry about whether or not it's a simple one or a complicated one. Just put your queries in and we'll see. Some of them will be suitable for fuller tutorials. Others will be suitable for Dr. Lex. If I don't get enough, I'm going to go searching through in Dreams. But if I still can't find anything, then there might be delays with the episodes, and it won't be weekly as it has been in the past. But we'll see how it goes. So there we go, Dr. Lex number 11. See you next time. And in the meantime, I will catch you in your dreams.